and welcome to the Wild Divine Bliss podcast, where we explore spontaneous spiritual experiences, including Kundalini-like phenomenon through psychology, neuroscience, philosophy, and basically lived experience. So today we have a very special guest with us because she's done so much amazing work in the world to help people really understand spirituality. And this is Suzanne Ross. And she has dedicated her life to an in-depth exploration of consciousness, spirituality, and extraterrestrial contact. Her deep immersion into spiritual practices and her extraordinary paranormal experiences have enhanced her psychic awareness and ability to tune into quantum consciousness, which I want to hear all about. Her great admiration for leading luminaries and dedication to the spiritual community inspires her to host retreats that connect spiritual leaders with spiritual seekers. And Suzanne is also a well-known event producer, inspirational author and speaker, intuitive guide, and media creator. She's the founder and host of the Sedona Ascension Retreat and the San Diego Transcendence Retreat. She's the author of the Up series, Wake Up, Rise Up, and Lighten Up. She's the producer of Suzanne Ross Retreats.tv, myvibes.media, and on her personal website, Suzanne Ross Transcendence.com, she offers a series of intuitive sessions, immersive meditations, personal retreats, and certification courses. Suzanne's deepest desire is to inspire humanity and empower humanity to realize their true divinity and connect with the spiritual community. So with that, Suzanne, I'm so excited to have you here because we're also going to be talking about this amazing retreat that's coming up in San Diego in September. So, but anyway, welcome. And I would love to know, how on earth did you get started with all this stuff?
Thanks so much for asking, Corrine, and thanks for having me on your show. Hello to everyone. I love being a guest, and Corine's a good friend. Yes, and so everything started over 30 years ago with a divine intervention on a mountaintop. I had been living the supposed American dream, working in the corporate world, married to a corporate executive with a Porsche out front and a pool out back. And I felt that my life lacked meaning and purpose. I felt so misaligned, Corrine, that I was having anxiety attacks. My hair was falling out in clumps. I had eczema all over my skin. So I just felt called to seek something better and
Something deeper.
yeah, something deeper, something more aligned with my higher self, which I didn't know at that time what was, but I knew that the life I was living wasn't authentic, meaningful, and purposeful. So my parents invited me to their vacation home in the desert. And while I was there, I ran to the top of a mountain, threw my arms up to the sky and said, I am miserable in the extreme and see no way out. And in that moment, I felt as if the air around me was embracing me. I was surrounded by a bright white light, and a voice came out of the light and said, can't you see you've come home? You'll stay here and heal yourself and many others. And those words dramatically altered the course of my life. I knew in my heart that was the absolute truth for me. All of the anxiety and depression melted away and were replaced by excitement and enthusiasm over my new life in the desert as a healer. And so I ran down that mountain and opened a wellness center in the desert. And I have never looked back. I've been on the field of health, wellness, and spirituality ever since. And
That
it's
is
taken on many different expressions.
Wow. I mean, that's a profound transformation in a moment. And I'd love to chat with you a little bit about that because, it's funny. I was talking to someone the other day about how when you're not truly in alignment with your soul, it's like you're going to feel it. Like there's something is just going to be nagging at you. And especially if you're somewhat intuitive and you've been covering it up, it's going to nag at you until you start listening to it. And it sounds like, really in that moment when you were in full surrender, it's like you are in a moment of pain and surrender and you're like, okay, that's it. Show me show me what's up here. So you created the space, it sounds like, to hear what was trying to come through, like probably for a long time. I'm really curious. Yeah. So tell me more about that. And then I have a follow-up question for that one too.
Oh, sure. You said
Yeah.
the key word, Corrine, surrender. It was
Yeah.
all about surrender and asking for support from the universe, Mother, Father, God, Goddess,
Wow.
spiritual guides, angels, archangels. I've so often read through channeling that when someone is really in need, is experiencing pain and suffering, calling upon support, that they will receive an answer. They will be guided. And that's exactly what happened to me. I felt like after that time, I was being guided by an invisible force that was compelling me to do this, do that, go here, go there. And before you know it, I'm running a
Wow.
successful wellness retreat in the desert, healing myself and many others. So, yeah. And it
Wow.
doesn't have to be this like profound moment on a mountaintop either. You know, this is a desire to seek something higher and
Mhm.
surrendering to a higher power.
That's I think you just hit the nail on the head with the surrendering, because I think a lot of times, especially people who are, let's say, newer to the spiritual path, feel like they can't really go anywhere unless they're always in a positive state of mind. Your story, like, really shows how in a moment of pain, when you surrender and ask for help, it's like your life can be instantly transformed. And that is, just I think even spreading that message alone is so profound, because it helps people so much realize that, it's like you can actually change your life even if you're in pain. You don't have to be in a positive mood all the time. If you surrender, like you said, to the guides and angels, and then next thing you know, it's like your life goes from the corporate, like housewife in corporate America, to this magical realm that you just like the breadcrumbs like appear. I call them the cosmic breadcrumbs to actually get to where your heart really wanted to go. Yeah, it's really profound. Um, so you're saying like, how long did it actually take you from that moment until you actually find yourself leading a retreat of some kind? I'm really curious.
Yes. So that path led to 25 years of being a personal
Yeah.
training,
Wow.
nutritional coach, yoga instructor. Really was the yoga that got me more into spirituality. That,
Cool.
experience on the mountaintop opened my eyes to the potential of, a spiritual force and a voice from the divine, right? So
Wow.
I did start looking at different Hay House books, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, Marianne Williamson.
Yeah.
And then I started teaching yoga, and I had an assistant who actually learned yoga from a yogi in India. So it always included like meditative practices, breathing practices. And so that started to introduce me to meditation. Ultimately, I
Wow.
started writing books because I met with a psychic and spiritual guide who taught me how to channel. And as such, I started channeling through messages, information that led to the content of my books, Wake
Wow.
Up and Rise Up. But when Wake Up launched, I wanted to have a book launch event, but I didn't want to just be me up there all weekend talking about
Mhm.
my book. So I started recruiting people I knew who were authors, who were spiritual, who were, into health and wellness, anything to do with self development. So I had my first event in 2014 in
Wow, yeah.
Pleasanton, California, because we lived in Northern California by then. And then magical, mystical way that we ended up in Sedona. And I knew when I got to Sedona, I would host events there. I thoroughly enjoyed
Wow.
hosting the first event. And so I did. And I hosted 2 events a year, spring equinox and fall equinox event starting in 2015. So
Nice.
last year was our 11th year of hosting 2 events a year. And now that I've moved to San Diego, the second event, the fall equinox, is held in San Diego, but the spring equinox will always be in Sedona.
Yeah, of course. And I was there. I got to like give a talk and 2 workshops, and there were so many people. Like, how many people were there? What was
We
it?
sold out at 750. That's the
That was
capacity of the
amazing.
Sedona
Yeah.
Performing Arts Center.
It was phenomenal. I mean, it was such a buzz of energy and like beautiful connections. And one thing I really remarked, like everyone was so heart centered and genuinely wanted to help each other. And that's something like, I mean, all the events I've been to of yours, that's something that I've really noticed. And even when I just attended the Transcendence event in San Diego last year, it was like I was like, "This is so cool." It just has such a nice vibe because people are just so lovely. Like, and it's all because of you too. It's like, look at what you're attracting, you know? So it's an
Thank you
amazing
for
thing.
that. That's probably
Yeah.
one of the biggest compliments I get is the high vibrational frequency of pure love
Yeah.
that it pervades these events. I'm very discerning about the presenters. I don't care how
Yeah.
many numbers they have to be authentic, heart-centered, soul-inspired beings that are humbly in service.
Yeah.
And same
Yeah.
with the vendors.
Mhm, and the vendors too, exactly. Yeah, and I think you might have sold out with all your vendors in
Yeah.
Sedona. It was jam-packed, and I got feedback, I don't know if you heard this, that people they were like, "Oh my god, the attendees, they were so amazing, they were so conversational," and it was like, "I had such a good time," and it's, I think it's far more than just having vendors. It's like it created that sense of community because even I stopped by different booths and it was the conversations, the in-depth conversations that I had with people at the booths was so cool. It was phenomenal. So that's really to me like differentiates, going to, I don't know, I've been to some of these other ones, no names mentioned, where it just feels very transactional, and
Yeah.
this did not. This is an entirely different thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, very
Our
different.
loyal vendors love to be there, and they
Yeah,
do. They have incredible experiences because they're serving from their heart, and
that's
they're
it.
offering something that truly benefits others, and they believe in their product, and their product is effective,
Yeah,
whatever that
that
may
too.
be, whether it's a service or a product, right? Like, because 'cause I've met people and, we wanna
Yeah.
make sure that we have people there who are really serving with love. And so that's what
Yeah.
we get. And that's the kind of guests we seem to attract as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and it's you're providing a platform for people to provide their gifts to the world, and I think that's what's so beautiful about that, you know? Yeah, I wanted to go back. I've had this thought brewing in my mind here for the last couple minutes, back to your experience on the mountaintop, because, I talk about Kundalini experiences and sudden spiritual awakenings in this podcast particularly. And what's so interesting about your experience, it was a transcendent moment that opened up your world and shifted it in an instant. And those are, I mean, some people have Kundalini experiences where you feel the energy through you, but you don't need to have the energy moving through you and have all these physical symptoms in order to also have that moment where all of a sudden your consciousness, I call it like moves past the paradigms that you normally live in. It's like you had one of those moments where the layers of how you go about doing things in the world, your framework was gently opened up and you suddenly saw life from an entirely different aha transcendent moment. And it's like I love hearing these stories. I mean, clearly that's why I have this podcast. Because I love hearing like how do people get out of the 3D and then move into this, five-dimensional consciousness when you start to realize, whoa, wait a minute, synchronicities are real. Things, they can help lead you in your life. They can help inform you. Precognitive dreams, like you said, you became very psychic as well. Now I'm wondering, did you have any of those psychic experiences before, let's call it your aha moment on the mountaintop?
I mean, as a kid, yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
As a kid, I had little blue beings that would come and visit my room at night.
What?
I was born in Shasta County Hospital in a little town called Anderson, just outside of Mount Shasta. And so we spent a lot of time in the woods of Mount Shasta, Lake Shasta, growing up. And I had a lot of experiences with extra dimensional beings like fairies and even trolls. My mother would send our cat Lucifer into the woods with us. And I
Lucifer, that's
mean,
awesome.
I know, isn't that great? And we would see fairies in the tree branches and little trolls peeking out from behind the trunks of the trees. It's like I knew the fairies lived in the trees, and I knew that the trolls lived in the trunks of the trees. Like,
That's
we as kids
incredible.
just had these, magical experiences in our woods behind our house. And also, I had a bunch of invisible friends. I was always talking to my invisible friends, so much so my parents built a dollhouse behind their house so that I could sit in there and have little tea parties with all of my friends. And so,
Wow.
yeah. So, but then, it's not atypical for a child to then kind of outgrow that as they start going to school and they become more attached to their identity. And I think that's important too. You have to, know who you are being in this realm in order to,
Yeah.
live out the life that you came here to live and learn the lessons you came here to learn. But the experience on the mountaintop was really just the start of my
Yeah.
journey. I say that the dark night is a great gift, and that's what led to that experience. But then I had another dark night of the soul in
Wow.
2008, which really catapulted me into a much deeper exploration. And that led me to Buddhism, Hinduism, angels and archangels,
Wow. Yeah.
right? And we moved to Northern California where I was working 3 days a week at a health and wellness center. Actually, I was offering mind, body, spirit workshops there. And that led me to writing my first book. But on the other 3 days when I wasn't at work, I dedicated the entire day to my spiritual practices. I would start by meditating in the direct rays of the sun. I practiced with all kinds of different meditations, mantras, mudras, tantra, you name it, running energy
Wow.
through the chakras, opening my third eye, right? Like I was just very immersed. And then I would read, like, spiritual belief system. I
Mhm.
would read about quantum physics. I would read about, how this reality works. What's the subatomic nature of reality? How am I creating my reality? Collapsing the wave as I move through it to
Oh.
create particles of form. Like I would go on walks and then like experience everything by being totally present, with all of the living things and beings around me. And I began to see consciousness as fluid and malleable, with water as liquid consciousness, forms as crystallized consciousness. And again, I started channeling and getting guidance from source.
Yeah.
So, it's been a work in progress. Of course, then I moved to Sedona and started offering spiritual journees in the Red Rocks, where now I'm guiding
Amazing. Yeah.
meditations, Kundalini activations, third eye opening. So, yeah, it's been a progression of spiritual.
Wow, it's like a wealth of knowledge there, a wealth of wisdom that you yeah, then that's, when you're curious and you're driven on the path, it starts to add up. But wow, I did not know that all about you. I think I love hearing about all that. It's very similar, it's like you just get obsessed with the topic and you have to know as much as you possibly can. Yeah, geez, and it's funny you talked about the gnomes and the fairies. When I used to go stay with my grandmother in Germany in the summertime, and me and my friends used to just she had some woods near her backyard, and we were so scared to actually go in there because 'cause we'd see the lights in the trees, And then it was like, those are the fairies and those are the gnomes. And it was because it was Germany. That was part of the folklore too. It's like, oh yeah. And at nighttime, you guys don't want to go in the woods, and then part of me is like, well, was that like a folklore or was that real or what, But then hearing you talk about that for Mount Shasta, I think that's amazing. I love that. And so,
Yeah.
but your whole journey, but I want to just talk about that for a second because it's, we sometimes we see those things and then we block them out over time, like you said, because you have to gain that sense of identity in order to function in the world of like, who am I and how do I function? How do I go buy groceries? You got to do the simple things.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So I'm wondering, for so you're a very grounded person, which is, you've managed to put together events. You're like, it's like you bring people together. You really bridge both worlds together. And I'm wondering, what would you say are some of your favorite practices or even perspectives that help you keep the balance of being in the world and also being connected to spirit?
Thank you for asking that. Certainly, running energy. This psychic I worked with in Northern California, Janet Myatt, she contributed to my first book. She taught me how to run energy. And so it started with, tuning into your root chakra at the base of your spine and sending a silver cord into the heart of Mother Gaia so that you
Mhm.
stay tethered to the earth, while you then pulled that energy of Mother Gaia back up into your root chakra, ignited a fire in your root chakra, and allowed that energy to surge up your spine through all of your chakras into your third eye, up into your crown chakra, and then opening your crown chakra to receive blessings, divine wisdom and knowledge, guidance. So, that practice very effective. I started
Mm.
to really work with this idea of transcendence as well. So we know that in a meditative practice, there you are seated in stillness, you've running energy, open your third eye, right? You're opening your crown chakra and you're having these extraordinary experiences, maybe accessing the Akasha, you know, traveling through the astral plane, maybe multidimensional. And then you come back into your space and place, and then you have to go to the grocery store or you
Yeah.
have to get on the freeway for God's sake, right? So how do
That's the
you,
truth.
right? How do you sustain that transcendent state and still
Oh.
function effectively in your reality? And I've been working with this concept for many years. So I would get into this transcendent state, then I would get in my car. Let's say I would go to the grocery store. I would first start out just with such an overwhelming sense of gratitude when I walked into the store and I saw all this lush produce. Like I didn't have to pick it, till the field, like
Yeah.
right, laid out there, and I have money to buy it. And then I would open to like connecting with others in the store, not in an awkward way, but maybe just a nod or, engaging with the person behind the deli
Yeah.
counter, making conversation in the checkout line, but just being, acutely aware that I am there with the children of God. Like each and every person I am with in that moment is a child of God. Same with being on the freeway. Like I would sit
Hmm.
in gratitude that I am surrounded by my soul brothers and sisters. And I would try to find some nice, landscape kind of thing to be grateful for. And just, it
Mm.
works. It really does. And it just enhances your life and the lives of others in so many profound and beautiful ways.
Wow. I really love that perspective. So it's really about bringing the spiritual into your day to day.
Yeah.
So it's like you
Yes.
can still, but the magic to me, where you have real mastery, is you're still able to really be in the world and function,
It
because,
drives me.
clearly, yeah, you wouldn't be able to do all the things you can do that you're doing if you were not able to function. Because I see people, they're very connected spiritually, but being then part of the world is so challenging. But this is an interesting way to bridge it. It's I love that perspective, and I can say the times when I've felt like I'm still in that transcendent state and going to the grocery and you feel like, oh, I just want to hug everybody because I'm in that
Yeah,
state,
right.
It's
Exactly.
like,
I love you, man.
it's like, that's when people are like, oh, you're glowing. And that's when I'm like, oh, okay, this is very real. It's very, very real. I can't say I'm in that all the time. Definitely not. I aspire to, but I love your tool. Sounds like it's gratitude, focusing on the gratitude. But I like the idea of the running the energy too. What's so interesting, you're saying you're running the energy to stay grounded. So I'm really curious about that. Can you tell me more about how does that actually help you stay grounded when you're running the energy that keeps your chakras open?
Because of the grounding cord. Because
Okay,
we
yeah.
start by sending the grounding cord into the heart of Mother Gaia and just embracing our earthly experience. Just
There
so
you go.
fortunate to have this precious lifetime unfolding on planet Earth, our home. And so, yeah, really grounding with that grounding cord, but then allowing that, Kundalini energy to
Yeah.
scintillate up and down your spine and open your crown to receive guidance. It's a powerful practice that supercharges me to, create, be creative and productive. But it also inspires me to be interactive with others in a way that's kind, compassionate, caring, understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing all those amazing tools because I'm sure people in our audience are going to be like, oh, I want to try this. I want to reach out to Suzanne. I have to like figure out how this works. I think I love that. Really, truly amazing. We talk about Kundalini, and this is like the talk I'll be giving is on Kundalini alchemy, like transforming chaos into creative power. Because it's when you, like you said, you tap into that energy space, it's so powerful because you can transform almost anything you're going through into I call it a compassionate learning experience, being grateful. And it's like out of that surrender and non resistance. It sounds like a really similar practice.
Yes. Thank you. It does sound
Yeah.
similar. It's a lot to do with our intention and expectation as well, because
Hmm.
I know you're like really well versed in quantum physics and quantum manifestation and tapping into the quantum field, right? So, as we know, our reality is unfolding before us
Yeah.
based on our intentions and expectations, based on our beliefs and practices. So, I do believe that there's an individual and collective way that we're interacting with this consensus reality,
Yeah.
but the intelligent observers who are moving through it are collapsing the waves of potential as they actualize the particles of form. And the more and more that we realize we are literally creating the essence of our reality as we move through it is so empowering.
Yeah, I think what you said something really important. You talked about first like the individual, like you're working on creating your own world, but then the collective is so powerful. And when you get people together, like I love that one saying in the Bible. I think it talked about when there's more than one person, when you have two people together in the name of God. And of course, it spans across every religion, that whole concept. But really, when you get consciousness, two human consciousnesses, I know I'm not saying it right, together, focusing on one intention, it's like your ability to create things because you're harmonizing your waves. It's like your energy fields, your intention together. And then
Yes.
with like what you've created, there's so many people creating with the same intention. It creates a deeper ripple effect on on a very practical level, but then on the subconscious, the collective, let's call it a collective subconscious level, because now we're learning, aside from just with experience, but also through science, that our brain waves really do impact each other. And that's why, you walk into a place like one of your retreats, like the Transcendence Retreat, the Sedona retreat. You walk in, you feel a difference because on that subconscious, even just level with your aura, you feel the difference with the collective. And I think that's something, it's like individually we try to do things sometimes and we feel like, oh, I'm trying to push molasses uphill. It's not working. But when we get groups together, it can just be such a powerful experience. I think
I
it's
think that
something that we miss a lot. Yeah.
has a lot to do with coherence too, right? Because as
That's
soon
it.
as you started to talk about, you know, 2, it made me think of the 2 sine waves, that are synced up
Oh,
to create
yes.
a coherent state. But if those sine waves are intersecting rather than, synchronized, then that's static. You can picture
Hmm.
static, right? But when they're aligned and synchronized, there's this sense of coherence that's so harmonious.
Yeah.
And there you step into divine synchronicity. That's when magic happens and miracles occur. So I think it's a very magical place to be when the presence of others. And now I am offering, spiritual experiences with horses here at my horse ranch.
Oh,
And
wow.
horses maintain a coherent state and they prefer to be coupled with another horse or a herd of horses, right? But, together they maintain a coherent state as well. And then when you're in their presence, you sync up with intention with
Yeah.
that coherent state. So we engage, in practices to tune in to that. Their heart aura is massive to tune into
Wow.
that pure love and then to synchronize with that coherent state.
Wow. I always wondered about that, healing with horses. Like I grew up with horses and I think it actually helped me through a very difficult childhood. To be able to be around horses and groom them and ride them, and it was always very calming to go. But now there's like so much more information about this. And I love what you're doing. Will you be offering any of this stuff for people when they come to one of your retreats in San Diego?
Yes, certainly. I'll have an exhibitor booth and I'll be handing out information about it.
Wow.
But my website, SuzanneRossTranscendence.com, has a page for my Omne retreats. And you can even, tune into
Omne. Yeah.
OMNEIGH because when I first started doing these spiritual practices with horses in Sedona with a friend,
Mm.
we were alming, and when we would alm, her horse would neigh. And so that's where
Oh, that's where
"Oh,
you got that.
nay."
Oh, nay. I
Yes,
was wondering about that. Oh,
it's
wow.
"Oh, nay."
Do they do
The
that?
horses love to engage in these sessions. Oh my goodness, they're so receptive. They're so willing to serve, and they just love being part of it. It's mutually beneficial.
Wow, how fascinating. I really need to come down and experience that.
Yes,
Like,
definitely. Now that I've
totally.
got an ankle brace still, my foot's not broken anymore, and our area where we're gonna do it is almost done. We haven't moved our horses quite into it just yet, but that'll happen the
Mhm.
next couple weeks.
Oh, fantastic. That's so good. Wow. And I know we talked about a lot of things, so far, but was there anything else that you wanted to like chat about? Because, the audience for this podcast is really looking to learn more about transcendent experiences, Kundalini experiences. Like, how do you practically like access these things? And a lot of people want to know, am I crazy or is this like a real phenomenon? And where can I find other people that are passionate about personal and spiritual growth? So it's like I'm wondering, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I would like to invite your audience to our San Diego Transcendence Retreat because everything you just asked me, they'll
Yeah.
find at my retreats. And for San Diego, I'm just so excited about our theme, exploring quantum consciousness and
Oh, yeah.
experiencing quantum love. And it was inspired by Tim Spenny, our good friend and member of the Consciousness
Yeah.
Club. He, during a Zoom call, he gave a presentation about accessing the quantum field through these different portals, let's say. And one of the portals was near death experience. Another portal was
Mhm.
ET contact. Another portal was hypnotic regression. Another one was plant medicine journeys. So that inspired me to design this retreat around that concept. Tim and I will be doing the opening ceremony together.
Ooh.
I invited near death experiencers, ET contactees, hypnotic regressionists, and
Oh.
plant medicine guides.
Oh
So
my gosh, amazing.
right, so that they can open doorways for the
Yes.
audience into the field of quantum consciousness where you experience quantum love.
Yeah. I love that. Exactly. It's like an opening the door of like, how do you, like, what are all the different ways you can open that door intentionally? Instead
Yeah.
of, like back
Mhm.
in the day, it was like, oh, those, spontaneous experiences are only for special people, only for people who have the right karma or whatever. And it's like, no, it's actually available to everybody. You just need to find your door. And that's what
Totally.
I'm
Yeah.
and it's yeah, and that's one thing I love about the times we live in. I think we've come so far. Like even in the last 20 years, 10 years, we have come so far with realizing that these states are available to everybody. You just need to find the tool that really resonates with your soul. And that's, and it sounds like your conference is really going to give people a good taste of different ways that they can actually find that. So
Mm.
needed, so needed.
Yes. And you don't have to have a near death experience or an ET contact experience or even go on a plant medicine journey
Yeah,
to
that's
experience that.
true.
You can simply engage in some of these practices that I've been talking about. You've
Yeah.
been talking about the Kundalini activation, the third eye opening, just being in stillness and meditation with
Oh,
the
that's
intention to
everything.
connect to source,
Yeah.
right? I mean, but, when I've been interviewing some of these incredible near death experiences, like world renowned experiencer Eben Alexander, who wrote Proof of
Oh.
Heaven and has been on,
Ooh.
tons of television shows talking about the incredible experience of profound love and radiant light he experienced during his near death. And then ET contactees like legendary ET contactee Whitley Strieber, who
Yeah.
transformed his first frightening experience of encountering ETs in the woods to an incredible spiritual connection with them that's just so
Wow,
full of
okay.
love. And then the hypnotic regressionists like Barbara Lamb has done over 5,000 regressions and,
5,000.
for decades. And her overall experience has been that these extraterrestrial beings her clients are connected to are
Mhm.
here to serve humanity with pure love. They're benevolent, loving beings in service to humanity, our ancestors, right? And so, really powerful. And then, of course, Paul Hynek, first of all, son of J.
Wow.
Allen Hynek, who, most people in the field of ufology know, uh, led Project Blue Book, back in the 80s. So he grew up, with UFOs as being, a big part of his upbringing. But at the same time, he's very well accomplished in his own right. But he discovered DMT
Mhm.
as a way to access quantum consciousness. And his experiences are so loving and so transcendent. Like he feels like he's been transported to heaven. And, so
Wow.
it's just a good example of like, all of these experiences, channeling, we
Hmm.
have channelers, that's another way. And we have Christina Arosh channeling angels, and we have, Daryl Anka channeling
Yeah.
Bashar, who
Yeah.
is very much, a compassionate, kind, caring being who says the ETs are coming to support you. So,
Oh, wow. Oh, it's like that's quite a lineup. Wow, that's incredible. But
and
and
many
I don't.
more. I haven't
Wow.
mentioned them
Yeah,
all.
for
And you, of
sure.
course.
Oh, thank you. Not to go on a completely different rabbit hole, but I'm so curious what your take on this is. With ETs, would you say that that is just like a bucket to put a name on a lot of different types of like phenomenon of what do you call it, like consciousness that is not in three-dimensional form? Would you say some of it is from something like off planet, or would you say it's maybe earth spirits, or would you say it's angelic, or just maybe not even angelic, but maybe just beings that want to help us that don't necessarily live on another planet? Or like, how do you like define that? That's what I'm like. I'm really curious.
I would say interdimensional, extra dimensional,
Oh,
celestial, extraterrestrial, right? So it's really a multi-dimensional experience when you're accessing space-time realities, parallel realities, but you can go beyond that and enter the divine realm of infinite love and light as well, connecting directly to source consciousness, mother, father, God,
there you
goddess,
go.
angels and
Yeah.
archangels, right? So
Hmm.
it's both.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your take on it. But yes, but you also said it's or going beyond and accessing the infinite love that is. And
Yes.
that is something like in one of my meditations and one of the times I was able to access one of those profound states where you realize that it's like, oh my gosh, everything really is love. And we're just trying to remove what stands in the way of that perception. And
Yes.
it's that's really what we're
Exactly.
trying to do. And
Yeah.
it's and just to have that visceral experience for a moment, like even though my consciousness is not there at the moment, having had that experience that was so visceral, I'm like, no, this is how it really works. This is
Yeah.
what's really there. And it's then you realize, oh wow, we're just trying to all find our way back to, let's say, resonating with the truth of our soul that is really that. And it's
Absolutely. I am that I am, right? God is
yeah, it's
experiencing through us as us.
and it's so hard to remember all the time being human, we're in these worlds. And I love learning more about the support, let's say the invisible support. Sometimes it's visible to some people. They can see some of these beings. Um and it just depends on like what frequencies you're looking at on the electromagnetic spectrum, because of course, it's like we only see a tiny amount of the electromagnetic spectrum, but imagine if we could see all of it, what we would be seeing in front of us, and all these helpers from all these different dimensions who are like trying to get our attention.
Exactly, right? They're just, I mean, some people have said the other dimension is right in front of your nose.
It literally is. I completely believe that. Wow. Wow. I feel like we could go on for like a long time talk about all this stuff. Yeah. So I'm excited to be there. It's just it's September, but I know that's not that long from now. Actually, it's gonna come right around the corner, and I'll be putting information in the show notes so people can find this. And just click on the link. You'll find the information on the Transcendence Retreat and more of Suzanne's work as well. And I wonder, is there anything else that we should be telling folks at this point? What
Aw,
do you think? Yeah.
just embrace every precious moment of every day for all it's worth. Your
Yeah.
soul chose to come here and have this glorious experience, learning the lessons you came here to learn, discovering the truth of who you truly are as both human and divine. Engage in spiritual practices to enhance your life, and just continue to practice those things that enhance the lives of others as well, being in service to the light of love.
Wow. Thank you. That's like a beautiful prayer. Wow.
Mm.
Thank you so much for being on my podcast, the Wild Divine Bliss podcast. And we will be in touch, and I will see you in San Diego. Thank
Yes,
you.
I look forward to it, my dear. Thanks so much for having me on. Love you lots. Love
Okay.
everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
If today's episode inspired you to learn more about your spiritual experiences, visit wilddivinebliss.com. There you can sign up for our newsletter and have access to many free resources. Wishing you a magical day.